I used to chase my sister around with a tomahawk.
It would be very difficult in these days to live as a true mountain man would have lived.
Have him bring his sewing kit and his fire starter.
Moccasin sewing or regular sewing?
Moccasin sewing.
There's just too many changes in the country, and there's too much development.
How many kids that are 11 and 13 years old can use a flint and steel and start a fire and have a fire going for you in the morning when you get up?
We get in our buckskin and get in our clothing and try to make most of the stuff that we do. We try to make, or we go to rendezvous, which they did way back when the trapper era was.
You had the free trappers and the trappers that worked for Hudson Bay at the time to sell his furs and to sell and to replenish his goods and his food supply and everything for the years, guns, whatever. The rendezvous, that's where it happened because it was like a town.
I make all my own hides, I make all my own knives and do like the pouches. I made up my outfit and started basically living history. What I have on me right now, I can walk out in the woods and come back a year from now and be perfectly fine.
You learn a lot of things that you just normally won't do. I never thought about making moccasins. I'm going to buy them, you know. Bruce goes, nah, you can make them. So he gave me a pattern, and I sat down one night and started trying it. And pretty soon I'm like, I had one moccasin done in one night, and I'm like, woohoo, life was good. And then got the other one built, and it was the wrong size, of course.
You hike into camp a mile, and that's just to get away, completely get away from anything that's modernized as much as you possibly can this day and age.
I've been sewing for many years. I started doing it years ago, and I was trying to quit smoking, and it was a way of having something to do. If you don't tell anybody, Mark, I'll tell you I actually won the blue ribbon in needlework at the fair.
It's the least amount that you can possibly have, and so that's kind of intriguing.
I trade leather, I trade iron stuff that I make, I trade flint and steels, campfire irons. If I find something at the rendezvous I want, then I'm willing to give up something that I have of my own, then I trade it.
We live in a world where we have an age of specialization, where people go to other people to do everything for them. And I think back in the fur trade era, you had an era when people were much more self-sufficient than they are today, and that they had perhaps more daily living skills than people have today.
You have to simplify everything you do, and that's actually part of the fun.
The rendezvous period was a time of great independence when you live by your wits. Your success depended on what you did and not on other people. And I think that strikes a chord with a lot of the people that are now in reenacting.
Some people look at me kind of funny when I walk down the street, or when I go to the school and pick up my daughter, they all kind of roll their eyes and say, oh boy, here comes Dad.
It's pretty cool, like he loves it and stuff. Like it's weird walking in the house and finding animals. Like he'll have them like soaking in buckets or in the bathtub, and I scream, but yeah.
The Senate had opened, and so we went over there as a group, and we all wore our buckskin and walked in and kind of freaked everybody out a little bit, you know, because you're carrying guns and knives and all that good stuff.
I chuckle because smoked fish is one of our favorites. And you can share a smoked fish with somebody, but you go put your leathers on and stand there in your dirty leathers and try to share smoked fish with somebody. 1 out of 10 might take a piece. Why?
Looks, a lot of looks. You know, they wonder, what's this guy doing? What's he doing here? Why is he dressed in buckskin?
A couple years ago, I remember we were sitting at a campfire, me and my oldest son, he would have been 10, 11 at the time, and I said, can you imagine living like this all the time? And he looked at me and says, yeah, I can. After
a week or two, then pretty soon you get pretty tired of it.
It would be great to go back and live for a a month, 2 months, or even a couple of years during that time period, I think would have been really fine. But a lot of that time, it just wasn't very much fun to live.
When I first started going to Rendezvous, we ate oatmeal and that type of thing. Well, Mark started Rendezvous, and that isn't good enough. It became T-bone steaks, eggs Benedict in the morning.
We call it pizza.
There's a little